tell us something about your new film, Bhaji on the Beach?
Okay. Bhaji on the Beach is a film about a group of Indian women from England who go to the seaside resort of Blackpool for the day. And on the day, various things happen, and it's a journey very much about being an Asian woman in Britain at this moment in time.
And is it a new way of looking at things, looking at Asian diaspora in Britain?
It's very much a new way. It's very much a new look at our experiences as Asians, but also as British people in contemporary Britain. And also, I'm the first Indian woman to make a feature film in Britain any woman, but also of the second generation. So it's very much a film that is seen as a second generation film and has appealed very much to English people as well as Indian people in Britain.
Have you tried to break stereotypes?
I think what I do in all my work is challenge the way people expect people in my films to be like, and also challenge what expectations people have of me as a filmmaker. So in Bhaji, there's many subversions of what the Indian community thinks it is like itself. There are many expectations of what English people think Indians are like. But also I think there's a great challenge to the way Indians from India view us as a community over in England.
How is it being a woman director and an Asian in Britain?
I think that in Britain, like every other country, there are considerably less women directors as there are men making films. And I think that given that scenario, it's quite hard sometimes to actually just make a film, get the funding and make a film, because a lot of women's ideas aren't taken as seriously, I think, as men's, perhaps because really the people who are in control of commissioning films are often men and can't see the value, if you like, on a larger scale of projects initiated by women. Myself, I've been very lucky because I happened to go to someone who was very enlightened, if you like, and very encouraging about sharing new voices and new sensibilities in terms of British cinema. But I think it's very hard just as a director working in Britain, because invariably your crews, often there is a lot of resistance if you have to work with men who are much older than you. I find it's a real problem because they don't take it too easy having orders from a younger woman, and that there is a lot of sexism in the industry that comes out in many different ways. I think that is one of the main problems.
Stop. I think as far as finance and cooperation from the actors and the crew goes, do you think it's a plus or a minus to be a woman?
I think it's a mixture. I think it depends very much on what you're like as a director in many cases. I think there are those few incidents that I talked about of sexism in the industry, but that's often, I think, with men who are much older than you. I think with younger men there's a lot more enthusiasm, there's a lot more sense of working together, and I choose myself very often very mixed crews. I like to have a lot of men, a lot of women, a lot of black people, Asian people, white people. I find that mixture is the most conducive to making the kind of films that I want to make. And in terms of actors, I mean, with Bhaji we did an awful lot of improvisational work, and I think that the actors really respond to that simply because often directors don't allow that kind of improvisational structure in dramas, particularly in Britain. And I think that really when it comes down to it, when you're on the set, it's about you as a director and how you then proceed.
Would any financial bet is money on women director?
I'm sorry?
Would any financial in Britain bet is money, hedges money on a woman director?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Will he take a chance of putting his money in a venture that is being directed by a woman director?
Who? With who?
A financial in Britain.
In Britain, we have a very good system of financing cinema. I mean, there's not enough money, but we have Channel 4, and David Orkin, the head of drama at Channel 4, has an eye on what is new and what is different and what is challenging for British cinema. So you'll find him at Channel 4, also at the BBC, they're the people who finance films largely. There isn't really the private money as there is here, and therefore people do take risks, and do often try and break open the terms of reference in terms of what is British cinema, and because the financial situation is relatively secure in that case, people aren't always making decisions that are commercial ones.
If I'm not mistaken, women play a major role in Bhaji.
Yeah.
Do you think you would be comfortable working with themes on women, or would you be open to any other subjects?
I think even if you make a film about women, it doesn't mean that it's just about women. I think that everyone in society is linked, whether you're talking about men or women, whether you're talking about different generations, different classes, and really whatever you choose to make a film about, even if your main central character is one woman, your film is also about men. It's also about different generations, because they come to play and they're influencing your main character all the time, because that is what drama is. I mean, drama comes out of various conflicting situations, and therefore I think even though you might perceive Bhaji as a woman's film because it deals with women, it also deals with men, and I think that people do make films which are much more universal than just what's on the screen.
The reason I asked you the question was because there is a tendency to put women directors in a straitjacket. If the women like feminine themes, they wouldn't really get into it.
I think you'll find that the definitions that are made about women directors are made by people who aren't, and they're generally made by the media or writers. And I think that the straitjacketing that you talk of that goes on, and the categorization, comes from often from people who haven't read the work properly, if you like. I think that that you can't categorize and phone down. You have to open up and bring in lots of different information. But then you see the situation in India is probably very different to the situation that influences me from England. So I can't really talk about that.
One last question: what are your future projects?
I'm working on 2 projects at the moment. One is set in Sri Lanka, which is a coming-of-age story about a young boy. And I'm working on another project which is set in America, and it's to deal with families, 4 different families of different